Uh, Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome again to our weekly webinar, Stopping the Violence in America. Today is March 5th, 2025. We are approaching 3 years of consistent weekly webinar dealing with stopping the violence in America. The initial point of bringing this webinar into creation was based on gun violence. And then we realized, as I always say, that a gun is an inanimate object. What are the root causes that allows people to use a gun or any kind of weapon against their fellow human beings? And subsequently, after having all these prolific speakers come on from diverse backgrounds, police officers, uh, police chiefs, lawyers, and uh, community activists, religious leaders, mayors, all have come on and shared with us the avenues that they have taken in order to be a asset to stopping the violence in America and in their communities. And when we listen to them, we realize that, wow, there is a lot of best practices out there that are silos on their own. How do we, through this webinar and activities after this, can play a role in bridging those gaps between these different silos across the nation and in different small communities, bringing them together. And I coined it the best practices. And today, again, I don't know if I mentioned, my name is Reverend Zachary Oliver. I'm the Vice President of UPF, and also it is UPF that has sponsored this program. I would like to introduce our guest, who is no stranger to us. He has been on several times, and also he has forged a partnership with us centering on stopping the violence, and we call it the Best Practice Task Force. And we had a conference about 3 months ago that was a very powerful and successful gathering of these diverse leaders who have played a critical role in stopping the violence within their prospective communities. And then we formed a committee, and excuse me, our speaker today, Reverend VJ Smith, will be discussing, the importance, as he would, of community outreach, how important that is, and the role that he has played historically in that process. And also, he has a lot of success, past success, and working within the construct of his community that the results always say that you can measure. But I'm always happy to see my brother here. He's been tremendous support. And the first time we met, we hit it off. We knew that we have to work together in order to be a catalyst for the true change that is possible within the construct of this American society. Reverend Dr. VJ Smith, welcome to the platform.
Well, thank you very much, my brother, Dr. Oliver. It's always good to be on here with you. And I'm excited about not only today, but the future guests that you're going to have in the future. You've got a really nice lineup. We're excited. Dr. Alexandra's been doing, you know what she does. That queen is amazing. And we're really proud to have, I hope that she's feeling better. I think she's feeling a little better today. So we'll pray for her as we move forward.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I want to thank you also, as the new team members. They have been helping to find different speakers and bring them up on. And also, you played a critical role in bringing some wonderful people to the conference. So, my brother, tell me a little bit about what you're going to talk about in regards to the importance of community outreach.
Well, in the community, there's a devastating reason why we can't really stop the violence. And one of the reasons is we haven't reached out to the people that are violent. And many people are afraid. We don't reach out to people that are violent because simply we're afraid that they're going to do something violent to us. So wait till the police get them, wait till they get incarcerated, and then we'll do what you call prison ministry. But there's some things that we have to do before many of these people get locked up. Number one is you have to build trust. And how do you build trust? It's complicated because on one hand, you do want to work with the police department to allow individuals to feel safe in the community, but on the other hand, you don't want to be known as a police force. So it's a real intricate step that you have to make there to say, well, look, I will call the police on y'all if y'all keep acting up because we got senior citizens and little kids out here. I will call Popo on you, but at the same time, I want to help you so that we don't need to. So if you work with me, we don't need to. So when we started going, we went right where the gang members were. And what we did first, before we start talking about transformation or change, we just simply went in front of this drugs house, the corner store, wherever we were, and just start cleaning up, just cleaning up the neighborhood, just sweeping around the neighborhood. And eventually they start asking questions. Why y'all do that? We're going to still throw stuff down here. And we say, well, we're hoping that what might happen for you is that you might make a decision that you want to be like us, that we are the men, the fathers of this community that protect our women and children, that you want to be like that. And after weeks and weeks of coming back, showing up, just sweeping the street, showing up, just being there, showing up with the grill, showing up with information, they finally said, well, what can I do then? One guy just picked the broom up and said, I'm going to help. Because at first it was cool when we leave, they just throw trash down. And we said, that's all right, we'll be back. We'll come back. You keep throwing it down, we keep picking it up. And eventually we formed a relationship and turned these men into that were just ruthless to fathers that had kids anyway, but they didn't understand the role of a father, how to be a father. So you have to build trust. People think you can just get a bunch of guys and give them some money and send them out and they can transform lives. No, that won't happen. The other thing is you have to assess what the needs are. What are the needs of people that are criminals? What do they really need? So in order for us to stop the violence, we have to give them what they need. Most of them need some mental health support. I've been through so much. I've been through so many challenges and so many changes in my life. From a little kid, it on and on and on has grown to make me a very angry and bitter person. As a woman, I've been misused, sexually, physically abused, on and on and on. It's made me this kind of person. So what do you need? So we connect up and you make partnerships with your mental health institutes. You figure out who's really doing the work. Because a lot of people say they do the work. And what we found out is that it's complicated to get people that don't have insurance, that don't have any abilities to pay, the mental health they need because everybody wants to figure out a way to get paid. And not only that, the critical part is the culturally specific assistance that people need. There's not enough professionals that can do it in a timely manner. So we found out you can meet somebody on the street and say, man, I'm just going crazy. My head's going insane. I don't know what to do. I need some help. I keep making bad decisions. We need to get you to a practitioner, someone that can help you mentally. We'll make those appointments, and sometimes by the time the appointment comes up, they've already did something that got them in jail. So we can't get them the help as quick as they need it. Their mind is in an emergency situation, but we got appointments 60 days out, 90 days out. Uh, what can we do? We have to let you keep going crazy until you figure it out. The other piece is at the church. There seems to be churches on every corner all around, but these individuals don't go to church anymore. It's not something that they do. So the churches sit there and the people drive into the community to go to the church, but the people that are on the streets are not even going or attending that church. And but there's a lot of reasons for that. It's simply sometimes church members don't want to be around folks that might steal your purse or might take something from you. A lot of church members don't feel safe when you start bringing that culture around, and you know that messes with the coffers of the church, and so they will just not allow them to come in, or not invite them, or not want them to be there because they don't know how to handle that situation. Another piece um, is that you have to understand the values. There's values, there's important values to do an outreach, and you have to apply. If you've got the values, then you can apply them. You don't want to hire somebody to do street outreach that's still smoking crack, that's still a drunk, that's still confused about life. Then you can't apply that value. You can't help me. You can't talk to me. You can't put me in the right direction. And sometimes that's what people, they're just looking for a body. Snatch a body, put them out on the streets, and give them a few dollars and tell them to get out there, and you can't do that. So you have to be able to not only find people that represent the kind of individuals that you want the community to be, but you have to bring reputable people out in the neighborhood that can relate. The other piece is the principle of the principles of just being out on the streets. There's certain principles, certain things that you just don't do. Number one is you don't go out there talking about y'all gonna stop this or we gonna have to, you know. We've had individuals bring their gun to the streets and say this, if somebody does something, I'll pop them. Well, no, we don't want that kind of street outreach. We don't want that. We don't want you, if you're that afraid that you have to have your gun on you, being on street outreach might not be for you. This might not be what you want to do. This might not be a sound thing for you. Um, Somebody said the sound is muffled. Is that correct?
Yeah, sometimes you're soft and sometimes you're loud. Maybe if you can get
Okay.
closer to the microphone.
Well, you know, microphone's in my ears, so maybe I will speak up. Is that better?
Much better, thank you.
Okay, I will speak up because yeah, the microphone's in my ear, so I just need to speak up. Thank you very much for letting us know. The other thing is the you have to understand that what we're trying to do on street outreach is shift from abnormal to normal. So you wouldn't put people that are already abnormal to work with people that are abnormal. So, and what is normal for them is being on the streets. So how do you shift it? You have to give them examples. You have to be an example. When we're doing street outreach and when street out is being done, the they're saying ain't nothing wrong with what I do. This is what we've been doing. This is how I've been doing it. And then we have to give them examples of what's wrong with that. What's wrong with selling crack cocaine, heroin, or different drugs to a community? What's wrong with that? And then we explain what happens when you do that. This is what happened. I know you sold the drug, but this is what happened to the family. This is what happened to the community. The people that you're selling to have to figure out how to get money to buy your drugs. If I don't do it, somebody else is going to do it. That's true. Then you have to have a heart, and that's why we have to turn you from abnormal to normal to give you a heart to say, you know what, I don't want to hurt people anymore. I don't want to do that anymore. I want to transform. I want to change. I want to be able to help people be better. Then the other thing is the big key thing about doing any kind of outreach is to be a good listener. You have to be able to listen before you talk. A lot of times you'll see people go out in the street, they just talk, talk, talk. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Y'all getting on the streets, you got to change your life. You have to do this, you have to do that. But you're not even listening to why they're in the situation. So listening is a big key. Introduce yourself. Tell them who you are. Tell them what you want. And then the masterpiece of all this is having the resources. If all you're doing when you're doing outreach in a community is going to talk to people, but you don't have any resources to provide, you don't have any mental health resources, you don't have any clinical resources, you don't have any job resources, you don't have any housing resources, you don't have any of those things, it's important to have those things. One of the things that I created, because I seen this as a problem, is I created a number of different resources. I did what you call an outreach explosion, where for 12 hours straight, I would connect with a radio station, TV stations, and I would go from 7 a.m. in the morning to 7 at night, or either 9 a.m. in the morning to 9 at night, just reaching out all over the city to tap people in to resources, to treatment, to jobs, to housing. And it was called Outreach Explosion with food, events. People loved it. And it got people getting excited about, oh, they're coming in my neighborhood to reach out. So we picked 4 or 5 neighborhoods in a day and reach out during the whole day and give back to the community. The other thing we found out is on our transit system, riding the buses, we want to provide outreach for them because we found out that the crime on the bus was extremely high. By giving outreach, providing jobs and housing, people on the buses were determined to transform their lives and come up with a different attitude. It helped out a lot. And then, of course, going into the jails and the prisons is part of the outreach. After you didn't hit them on the streets, you got them in the prison and jails. We found out also that we had what you call a food and crime initiative, where we found out the reason why people are doing sometimes so much crime is that they're not eating right. And when you don't eat right, your body's not right. Your mental state of mind is not right. If you're living off of Cheetos and cheeseburgers, and that's what you live off of, that has a detrimental effect on your mind. You cannot think healthy. So we started a food initiative, a food and crime initiative, where we taught people the effects of what would happen if you ate properly. What would happen if you had a nourished, nutritional breakfast instead of an egg McMuffin every morning or sausage and eggs every morning? What would happen if you started to eat more fruit, fiber, and took your vitamins and did all those things and learn about your body and how that system works? And we found out people were changing. Their mental stability was changing. The way they thought was changing. So we found that there's a direct link between food and crime. And once we change the way you eat, it changes the way you think because your mind's not so fogged up. The problem is that there's a high turnover. There's a very high turnover in crime prevention simply because it's tough work. Think of yourself as going to a fire, reporting to a fire every day for 8 hours, reporting as a police officer, reporting every day for 8 hours, just to be confronted by people that say, y'all don't care, y'all just out here just to make money. This don't make a difference. You ain't gonna never change. And have you hear that day in and day out, you know that it's stressing you out. So either if you're not strong enough, you give up. The other thing is that you're running into homicides, and you're stopping fights, you're in the middle of things. Remember that I had rings. It hadn't been for the rings that I had, finger, a guy was swinging this bat, and I stopped the bat, but it bent all my rings. I said, wow, that if that had hit my finger in the right way, it broke all my fingers. And those are chances that you take when you do street outreach. It only takes a person to see that once, or take somebody to go home and talk about what happened for their spouse or better half to say, "Well, you can't do that no more. That's too dangerous." To be in the middle of gunfire and not have the kind of life insurance that you need or not to have the right coverage that you need, that's pretty dangerous. So the burnout, the stress, putting your life on the line. I remember when I was doing outreach every day, when I had a vacation, that was the time I was really the scaredest. I'm like, what if something happens, man? I'm going on vacation tomorrow. And other than that, I was okay. And it sounds crazy, it sounds weird, but you sometimes you don't think about the fear until you've got something else that you want to do in the future that sounds exciting. And it's just a crazy lifestyle. The other thing is there's limited training because there's limited funding for training. And so you have to understand that in order to have the right people out on the streets, you have to really train them. So I was every week training, every Monday morning was training, and we trained on different issues and also listen to what the problems were, listen to what the situations were, listen to the challenges and barriers of people doing outreach in your community because it is a specialized field. It's not for everybody. It is for those that really want to give back. And most of the people that want to give back are those that have been through this before, transformed and turned their lives around. We've had people that want to experience it and because they think it might be a cool thing to do. And they do that and they get out on the streets and realize this is dangerous. This can be dangerous and it can be ultimately life changing. I remember taking a group of suburban kids. They were all white kids and they wanted to experience street outreach. And I remember one mother driving up in a Mercedes Benz and said, I don't want my daughter involved in this. Why would you bring my daughter to this? Because I guess she texted mom, hey, mom, we're out here on Lake Street. It's gangbangers and everything over here. She swooped up and got her daughter, and I never seen her daughter again because she didn't want it in that environment. But you have to understand that our kids can only be protected so much. And if they really want to give back, they need to see what's really out there. And we introduce them to people that were on the streets and say, you don't want to do this, and this is why. It's very helpful for our young people to experience it and see some of the reasons why they don't want to get involved in drugs and gangs and what it can do. And a lot of the gang members believe us and trust us and don't mind sharing their stories. A lot of parents I've been able to help simply by taking their kid out on the streets with me or to the homeless shelter to talk to some of the gang members that have been shot and stabbed and helping them see that this could be you. You don't want to listen to your parents, this could happen. So street outreach can be used in a lot of different ways. And I believe that if we want to really save our community, we have to figure out how to apply this and apply the trust, apply the assets, apply the. One of the tactics that we used was we had a sheet, and on that sheet we would send each outreach worker out, and we would require them at least to do 20 to 30 contacts a day, so that we could have touch. And in the office, we'd have our office staff call them and try to give them the needs, assess them with the needs they need, job, housing, whatever. We make those connections for them, and then bring them to our father center or family center and have them get the additional help that they need. And that worked out really great. Today, we found out that outreach workers just go out and try to prevent crime, but you can only do so much if you're not getting to the root cause of what's happening. The root cause is the problem. The root cause is that a lot of these people, when they go home, there's nothing there and they got to figure it out. And so a lot of these kids are on a mission to bring something home for the family. And so if you can't solve that root cause, you really can't solve crime. As we do what we do in terms of stopping the crime, stopping the violence, there's organizations that are looking for people, but they're not going out to the streets. And so many of those people don't even really know the process of interacting with an organization that's going to help. And that's why we need brokers like street outreach workers to broker that for you. Okay, you don't know how to do this. It's a process. We're going to help you get through that. Maybe you can't read or write. You'll be amazed at the people that can't read and write. And so they're afraid to go to an organization and say, I need help. You'll be amazed at the people that just don't really know how to talk. They really don't know how to talk. Unfortunately, they don't even know how to communicate other than on the streets, where their dialogue might not compare. So every time they talk to someone from a professional manner, they get it wrong. Or they feel like you're talking bad about me. Or what is that? So you would just be amazed at the communication gap between professionals that say they want to help the people in our community, but they don't know how to reach them. And so street outreach is good for making that happen. Dr. Alvin.
Wow, Reverend VJ, that was a really mouthful. It's just amazing, and I think we're on the right track when we're looking at the best practices. But the best track that we're on is understanding that there are root causes. Something simple, even when you were sharing about food, many of us don't even realize that we are judging from what we see. But immediately when you mention that how food can play a role in your mental health because your body is starving for all those nutrients that makes them mentally and physically healthy. So it affects their behavior. So when we look at these people, we're looking at many times from the eyes of judgment, but not the eyes many times of human beings whose function and bodies are exactly the same as the most esteemed individual or citizen of this nation, right? So I thought about, I was in one of the hood neighborhoods about 4 months ago, 3 months ago. Everything was closed except, these little stores that I wouldn't even call them mom and pop, just little stores that has, these cookies 2 for $1, and nothing else was on there. The only thing that was edible was what you might consider food, was the oodles and noodles or something like that. So I watched that kid come in looking for something to eat. I knew he was hungry. and he had $5, and the noodles was like $5. But he came to get to supplement or try to curb his hunger, right? And you don't know what their home situation is like. And two things that I saw was, why was that udon noodles $5 when we know it's $1.50 at the grocery store? Because it's a food desert. So they're taken advantage of, but there is no selection, if you will, of more healthier foods for them. So they're eating these cookies, 2 for $1, these little rolls of cookie, and sodas, and all these unhealthy foods that now helps me to see, yes, that is something that might be affecting their mental health, because it's also affecting their physical health as well. Just by bringing that up just took my mind to several areas. But I want to thank you for that, because you went through a plethora of root causes, a plethora of what is needed to become the true outreacher that is necessary, that will eventually reach those who are in need and those who are searching for need. It's something you just said, you said oh, they're coming in our neighborhood to help. So that means that a lot of people are looking for that, right? They're looking for that extra footage, or that extra effort people would make to come reach them, so that they can come out of the quagmire of their situation. So I want to thank you so much for enlightening us and opening the doors to our minds, and also understanding, helping our audience to understand, yes, there are root causes, and we really need to put more effort in those root causes and seeing how we can bring resolution to them. And then I think we would begin to see the change, if you will, in those people who deserve change and don't have those particular opportunities as others in other communities. Anybody else to open up the door? I know you might have some statements and some questions for our dear brother, V.J. Smith.
I do have some questions.
Go right ahead. Hi, how are you?
Okay. Thank you, Reverend Smith, for your presentation. Oh man, you opened up many things to me. I have questions, and I want to thank you again. One of the things you talked about was the community outreach. Well, let me back up. Recently, I wanted to do a health fair, and I went to the hospital where I live to ask if they still have a mobile unit, because years ago I had done one in DC, and the hospital there, they had a mobile unit, so I could request the mobile unit to come to where I was having the health fair. And they gave things like blood tests and blood pressure tests, etc. So I thought I would replicate that, only to discover that this hospital here no longer has a mobile unit. But I have a contact who has many friends and relatives who are doctors. So I wonder if you have an idea of what I could do with that. Given the situation that you are going into the community, is it feasible to do something like a health fair and have doctors come in to do the basic? And would that be something that should be done initially, or wait until I build trust in the community? I like the idea of cleaning up, because we did that in the past, and I can put together a group to do that again. And one question is, how long did it take to build trust? How long before they trusted you?
Okay, thank you very much. Those are two great questions. What I would do if I was you, I would connect with other community events, bring in a health component to it, connect with your health presenter, somebody in a health clinic that loves to do outreach, that wants to reach out to the community, and have them either put up a tent or put up a booth, and And so the booth is very efficient. They can still do the same thing that the unit could when they had under, they can still do that in the booth. They can do assessments, they can do some tests, they can do that, and then you don't have to worry about all the other stuff. And then you're also helping bringing more people and more services to another event where you say, I want to add this. Do you have a health component? They say, no, we're doing this a big event. All the kids and families are coming, but we hadn't thought about that. Can I bring in the health component? Sure. You bring in a couple of mental health, medical health, whatever you can bring in, you be part of bringing that in. It doesn't cost you nothing. And if the booth, if the hospital has to pay, they can pay the $100 or whatever it is to be there. They just probably never got invited. You could be the middle person to make sure that they're there at the event. Then you're there to connect with all the people and make sure they get the services. It's less work for you, a whole lot less
Mm-hmm.
work for you, but you're still getting a huger impact because you got 500-600 people coming, and then they're going to be happy because those people are coming to get connected to the services. How you build trust is give people what they need and they will start to trust you. So whatever it is you have, don't offer something. The biggest way to lose trust is offering people something you don't have. If you don't have jobs, don't offer them. If you don't
Mm-hmm.
have connections to housing, don't offer that. Because if you do that and you say, well, we're going to try to get you some housing. Well, how long will it take you? When will you try? Well, I'm looking. Well, if you don't have a connection, like we had connections to landlords, we had connections to
Mm-hmm.
people, we had
Mm-hmm.
connections to therapists that would say, just bring us to people, we'll squeeze them in. We had connections to food banks, so we get you right in on a food bank. We had connections to um, support groups, so we can tell you, go to the support group. Not only you'll get a stipend, but you'll get a certificate, and you can graduate to be a better father, a better woman, or whatever it is. We had those connections, so we plugged you right in. Think about what you specialize in. Offer that. Build trust off of what you have. Don't try to build trust off of what you don't have because you will lose trust.
Mm-hmm. Okay, one other quick question, and I know before Reverend Oliver bumped me off here. Um, I in the past, in the past, I did a hunger project. Actually, two different ways. I went to I forgot in way in Maryland where the wholesalers go and purchase their for them for their business. I went there representing my organization. I had all my paperwork, and so I was able to to get things to distribute, and I would distribute from my office. But at that time, I was teaching the character education, and it dawned on me that a child who is hungry can't study. And so I told the ministers who were attending the weekly program, I said, listen, I am creating this program not for anyone to walk in here and get things. This is specifically for the children. The parents can come and collect, or you can designate someone to collect. But do not tell individuals or families without young children just to come here. That's not the purpose of it. So that worked out. That worked out well. So and then the other one I did a different kind of hunger project where I would ask a business to allow me to collect canned food from the customers, which I got permission for, and then I would donate it to a food bank or somewhere else. My question to you is, if I did the second type of hunger project, is that something I can do for that community? And then how would it be distributed? Should I develop a contact in that community who would distribute it, or what's your suggestion?
I would look at, is there a local food bank in that community? Is there a church that is doing a food bank? Because in that way, if you get stuff, you just bring it right there. You bring it right there and you partner with them. You say, I'd like to partner with you. I'd like to partner with you. I'd like to get some resources to help you out. Therefore, you're not reinventing the wheel, and you're still helping the either the church food bank or whoever is in that neighborhood. And then you can also be there on site for anybody that might need prayer or might need any other resources that you might have to offer. My goal is to say we can do something better if we don't have to always reinvent it. Sometimes we don't have to reinvent it. It's already there. So we could do it better if we allow folks to just let us come in. And you just need willing partnerships. Right now, I work with a food bank, and I barbecue for them once a month because they don't do it. They don't know how to really do it. I know how to
Mm,
barbecue, get the music, set up the music, get people going, and they say, "Oh my God, people aren't tense." When you're here, they're not as tense because you're when people are hungry, they're angry. That's why they call it
mm.
hangry. Hangry.
Oh,
You just
oh.
hungry and angry. You just both. And so a little music, some free food, something to drink, calms you down, and all of a sudden you wonder why 400 people are just calm. Well, because we just fed them and loved on them, prayed for them, given them a peace of mind, and so now they're okay. Okay, so now you want to do more than once a month, but I do it once a month because that's what I can do. But those things are important. If you can find a partnership, a church or a food banking close to you, where you can say, I'm going to help this food bank out, and here's some areas I can help. I've got some connections once a month or once a week or whatever you can do. I want to bring some Pampers for the kids or whatever it is you bring, whatever it is you can get, you bring that in, and it's your part of your partnership. But in exchange, what do you want? Do you want to interact with the people? Do you want to pray for people? Do you want to give them a pamphlet? What do you want to do? So get your piece out of it too. So it's a fair exchange for you.
Thank you. I like that. It seems to me that I can also use that church to help with the health health fair kind of system.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
That's,
Uh,
and they can invite their members and other community members to show up, and they can help you with promotions and marketing because they've already got people on staff. Instead of you doing it all yourself, you just partner with other people.
oh, you've answered several questions. I'm not going to ask them all. I noticed Reverend Oliver giving me the eye. I'm not going to ask them all, but you've really answered several questions that I have. Thank you. God bless
Well,
you. Okay, Reverend Oliver, I'm finished for now.
Great questions. Thank you. You answering them. So you answered them very well. Anyone else? I see
Yes, yes.
Dr. Madeline.
Hold on,
oh,
time.
she's well. Free at last. Free. Uh-oh. Not 100% yet.
95, 95. I'm working on it. Greetings, everyone. Welcome back, Reverend Oliver. Brother VJ, it's so good to hear you speak.
Thank you. Thank
Yes.
you.
This is what stands out in my mind, and I think it is very important. You said, listen, listen to the people. And I think sometimes we have a mindset that we're going into this community and we're going to do this. Well, this might not be what the community needs. So, again, rather than reinventing the wheel, reach out to other people, see what they're doing, and see how you can partner with them to help move forward. Anytime we can come together collectively, it always makes something bigger and better. And you might have your own idea, whether you're giving away clothing, whether you're giving away food, you might have an ideal. But again, if you research the community and listen to what the community is saying, then you know that you're in the right spot. You know that you're doing the right thing, and you know that you're actually helping. Because sometimes we can go into a community with our own mindsets and ideals, excuse me, and we're not really helping. You know, when you talk about troubled teen and troubled youth, you know, for the longest time, the educational system has said these children need breakfast in the morning. That's why they start feeding kids at school, so they have the opportunity to concentrate and wouldn't have to worry about being hungry. So they start providing those meals. In the process of that, what has been taken away, yes, the food is still being um, issued in the schools, but they're not really paying attention to the children's behaviors. You know, a lot of times when we get involved in the community, the children are teenagers and they've had this pattern of this behavior from the time they were small. And unfortunately, they did not get the help that they needed. They did not get the support, you know, that they needed. But at this time, it's like the question becomes, how do we redirect? And the only way we can redirect is to find out or help a child understand that there is something wrong. Because you said it very well earlier. For some people, drama, chaos, that's their normal. If it's not drama, chaos, trouble, whatever that confusion is, if that's not going on, then there's something wrong. We come in with peace, we come in with what and help, and they're like, well, what is wrong with you? You know what I mean? They really look at us like we have the problem and we want to be a solution. So it is very important that that we listen, that we take time to hear what our communities are saying, and that we partner, that we do talk to those that are in the community that's doing the work and see how we can lend our help, lend a hand. You know, we're not there to take over. We're not there to start anything new, but this is what I have to offer. How can I support you in this way? So I appreciate, I appreciate your wisdom, your wealth of knowledge. And I appreciate all that you do. I remember being on the streets with ministry, but I knew the location that I was in. I knew food was the key, but it wasn't giving away the food. It was preparing the food. So we did fish fries in the park. We barbecued in the park, you know, and from that, I've always had my disciples. See, we want to talk about Jesus, but we don't really want to talk about the disciples. Well, I have my disciples, and I think everybody needs that team. I said God was the ultimate game master. He kept his people with him, but in having my disciples with me, they were able to speak the language of the street, shut the streets down, that we could minister and allow people to eat, to allow people to sign up for social services, for referrals, for electric bills, for food, for clothing. You know what I mean? So you have to have a team, and you have to know what's on your team. I have some people on my team. I don't ever want them to get fully saved because I need them. Because
Absolutely.
I need them. You know, God has elevated my ministry that I'm not out there in the streets like I used to be, but to be out there in those streets, that's work. And a lot of people have the desire, but they don't have the heart because it's not nice. It's not pretty. You know what I mean? Praise the Lord is beautiful, but you got to know when to say praise the Lord. You know what I mean? The word tells us to watch and pray. So you have to know when to watch, and you have to know when to pray. And sometimes you have to pray with your eyes open. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of work out there to be done. I'm grateful for everybody that's on the line that have the heart, for the work, and do what you can on your level, do what you can in your lane and in your space. But if you make yourself available to the community, then you know exactly what you're working with, and you'll always be a success. Thank you so much. I'm getting there. I say I'm 95%, not 100% yet, but God is working it out. I'm gonna be all right. Thank you so much.
We've been praying for you, and we love you. And just, I know Dr. Oliver tells you all the time how wonderful you are. And I just want to say you've been a blessing. And I thank you so much for helping us get the lineup together. I got more people coming for you, and we're going to try to get the whole year done and just be done with it and start working on 26.
Sounds good. Sounds good. And I keep saying this. I'm just the co-host.
Well, you're amazing co-host. You're amazing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much as well. Thank you.
Great. I see Reverend Franklin. I know he has to leave, but I just want him to say a couple words before he departs.
Okay, thank you so much, Reverend Oliver. Thank you so much, Reverend Smith. I really appreciate that one point that you said, and I tell you, that is huge. The ability to be still and listen, that is huge, because You hit it right on it. You hit the nail right on the head, because so often, if we go in and we have knowledge, if we have book knowledge about certain situations that we know are right according to what we studied and read, and we do not have the ability to be able to listen to the people who are actually dealing with the reality of their circumstances, and we do not have the ability to listen and be still enough, we can be missing so much of what they're saying from their hearts, because we're so into getting the knowledge from our heads. And I just, so many things came up when you mentioned that. I do have a question, and that is that um you probably already touched on it, and pardon me for getting on a little bit late, but how do you go about getting the funding to support some of the outreach services that you're doing and offering to the public?
That's a good question. I will answer that for you. So I'll tell you the programs that initially that I was doing, and I'll tell you how they were all funded. So I had the Peace Bus team. That was a team of 8 people that ride 2 different buses in the high gang areas. They rode those buses, and we were funded by the Metro Transit bus system because they just didn't have enough police to ride those buses in those high gang areas. And really, the police, they weren't listening to the police, but they were listening to us because it connect with us. It made a difference in the train system and the bus system. So that was paid through by Metro Transit. Unfortunately, though, the transit system didn't want to hire people full time to do outreach, but they would pay police overtime. We never could figure that out, but we understood one of the main reasons why is because they never want another program to be better than their program. So that's how that was funded. The street outreach was funded in a number of ways. That was an ongoing 6 days a week street outreach, going from usually 4 p.m. to midnight, team of maybe 15 to 20 people. And that was funded through foundations and the city programs and the state and different federal programs and grants. Then we had a crisis. So what we did, some of the funding had to overlap. So some things had to be volunteer. So we would tell our team that, I can pay you, but I need you to give me 10 hours a month of volunteer time. Can you do that? And most of our team began to appreciate that and say, you know what? Because the feeling they got from giving back was really good. Like, I went to that event and we represented and we gave back. So that was good. So we had our crisis response team and victim services team, which responded to homicides, suicides, overdoses, and that kind of thing. And those people, we kind of just we asked you to volunteer, but if we had some extra funding, we would try to pay you for that. And then our outreach explosion was always a free event that we did. And then we had what you call the advocacy for crime prevention, which was opportunity to go and fight for advocacy at the Capitol, and that was a volunteer piece. And so, but on the other end of that, when you went to fight for advocacy, that you learned where the funding was, and you were able to testify on why it's important to fund your program. And also, you were able to figure out what bills are being and attach your mission to a bill. So a lot of times you could be working right now on being attached to a bill that could get you funded in 2027 or 2026. But if you're advocating for that right now, you can get attached to that bill, and 20,000, 200,000 of that bill could be allocated to you. And a lot of times they say, well, we don't put your name on it, but just know it's for you. And when it comes, if it gets approved, thumbs up, then you go ahead and put your application in. A lot of time, but if you're not there to advocate for those dollars, you won't get it. You have to do that part. And then with the community events, we partner, like I shared, we partner with some events and some we created. But most of the time we would partner with other events that got us out there, but also helped us to be a big part of promoting other events too. And then with the food and crime piece, That was funded through a special grant through foundation that said, man, this is a big deal. Food and crime have we need an initiative. Now their funding went away, and a lot of times if you want to keep these kind of initiatives going, you have to find new resources. What I did was we had a real good partnership with our foundations. As foundations shifted and changed, and you shift with them. There were certain organizations that I'm no matter how many times I apply, they were like, VJ, we just got to tell you, we're catered more to the LGBT group, and we know what you do is good work, but this is what we're catering to. Okay. I say, okay, well, I'll stop applying because evidently you're not, but you just have to know where to go and build those connections up so that you can get the funding. So find people that want to fund what you do, number one. And number two, meet those people, meet that executive director, meet all the assistants. And, sometimes the best way to an ED's heart is to the administrative assistant, that person that picks up the phone and says, hi, can I help you? Can I talk to the executive director? Who are you? Okay, well, she's the key. Like, you get to build a relationship with her. Most of the time, and I say her because usually it's a woman, most of the time you can get right into that ED because she'll say, you really got to talk to this guy. He's really on to something. And so building those relationships are important.
He had to drop off because he was in transit, so we lost him. But thank you. That was quite extensive in your explanation, and really appreciate it. The floor is still open. Anybody else would like to have a few words, share a few words before we come to our close?
Yeah, just really quickly. Yeah, can y'all hear me?
Oh, you're still there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm back. But
Okay.
Reverend Smith, that was awesome. God, I really appreciate that. Because because I was thinking, right? Because my pastor, who is actually the technical director, right, of this program, he's given me the responsibility to oversee, our music ministry, right? And what you're saying, because I wanted to meet the Union County, I guess you can say, director of the performing arts, Union County director of performing arts, right? And basically, Reverend Smith, what you told me is exactly what I needed to hear, and I really appreciate it. God bless you in your ministry, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Reverend Franklin. Thank you so much. Good to see you. We have a few more minutes. Anybody like to share one word or two as we come to our close?
Yes, Reverend Oliver.
Yes.
I apologize that I don't have a lot of resources and experience that I can offer you, but I am so very grateful to be able to contribute to your organization to any degree, because having witnessed the success of your conference from last summer, I can see you're beginning to attract people who have all those experiences, resources, and we really need that in America. Reverend Smith, so very grateful for what you do. Pray for God's blessing on you. Dr. Alexander, I can't thank you enough. You have a lot of good experience, and she knows how to bring the Holy Spirit down. And when there's problems and insecurity and uncertainty, it's amazing. People are thinking, okay, what do I do to solve this problem? And all of a sudden, then the Spirit comes down, and these things are calm and peaceful again. You got to keep her with you.
That's right. We will.
Anyway, looking forward to seeing what you can accomplish in your next conference, annual conference. God bless you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And you're correct. You noticed when Dr. Alexander said, I'm just a host. I'm just a host. And VJ Smith and myself, Dr. Smith and myself, almost simultaneously at the same time says, well, you're a darn good one.
That's right.
Yeah. So we want to thank you, everyone. VJ, I want to give you the last word. to share. You've shared a plethora of stuff. I'm so happy that you're on our team. We usually have a weekly committee meeting that we're discussing in preparation, Bill, for Reverend Stoner for the upcoming conference, which will be bigger. And we'll invite more people and we'll have more content. But what we did was substance in itself, had a lot of substance to it. And it was a moving conference because what we did was, even though it wasn't as many as we wanted, but those who came were part of the solution. They were part of the answers that are needed. They were part of the best practices that are out there. And if you even get 2 or 3 of them in one room, it's already a powerhouse. So we want to thank everyone who contributed to the conference. And out of the conference became this new committee of Dr. Bostic, Dr. VJ Smith, and even Dr. Madeline and others. And we have our executive director right now, which is Reverend Darren Faulkner, who's been on here 2 or 3 times. He's an excellent speaker as well, but he's taken over the position as the executive director of the what we call the Best Practices Task Force, Stopping the Violence Best Practices Task Force. And all we're trying to do is not like we're not trying to recreate the wheel. We're saying that the wheels have already been created. How can we be a catalyst to bring the wheels together, and ride together and support one another to bring not only a community impact, but a national impact. So Reverend Smith, you can have the last word.
Well, one thing I will say, we're all doing outreach, each and every one of us in our own special way. Outreach is something that has to be done. If we don't do it, we can't change the world. If we don't reach out to the people that are suffering and struggling, then they will continue to suffer and struggle. If we keep driving by people with just a kind word, just to say you are important, you are valuable, you mean something. If they say you got some change, you can say, no, I don't have physical change, but I do have mental change. And if I can pray with you, maybe that might give you just the change that you need. If I can understand that we've been researched to death, they've researched us so much that they got piles and piles of research. But where is the resilience? Where is the love? Where is the favor that we have inside of us that we can give to people in our communities? So many times we jump in our car and we just drive right on by, or we might let the window down and hand out $1. But is that really what they need? What if somebody just needs you to give them a hug and say you're valuable? What if that's all you can do today? What if that's all you have to offer? If that's all you have to offer, that's probably bigger than you think. Some people go for weeks and months and sometimes years without somebody hugging them, give them affirmation, or tell them that they're valuable and important. If you can do that, that's important outreach that God wants us to do.
Wow, what a beautiful closing. That's very powerful. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. God bless you.
Very powerful. So I want to thank you again. Our meeting, we look forward to next week. Also, we look forward to everyone here, attending this year's conference, which is in July, correct?
That's right.
18th or something like that. So prepare for the conference. You're all welcome. Your input is valuable. It's always been valuable. And your support has been just awesome. God bless you, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, Reverend Oliver. Thanks, BJ. Great job.
God bless.
God bless you.
Take care.
So,
Blessings, everybody.
Any blessings to each of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
O'Connor,
Bless us.
good to hear your voice. Okay, everyone. God bless you. We'll
Hey,
see
Bill.
you. Thank you, Dr.
All
Madeline.
You're-
Barbara.
God bless. Take care.
Okay.
Dr. Madeline.
John.
Yeah.
Dr.
Reverend
Alexander, do you by
Zachary.
any chance have Reverend Smith's phone number or email address that I could get in touch with him?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, if you could just pass that along my direction, please.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. God bless.
Hope you're on your feet
You
real
too.
soon.
Get well, will you?
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
bye-bye.
not as long as it has been.
Oh.
Great.
Thank you.